Officially live. I am Sarah Curl, the Jamie Oliver Food Foundation Community Manager, as well as the Food Revolution Community Manager, and I want to welcome you to our second Community Google Plus Hangout. Welcome, guys. We need to give a big thank you to Google for letting us host our Hangout from their San Francisco downtown offices. We are super excited. This month's Hangout is focused on our super volunteers, which we call our ambassadors. Ambassadors are the spark in their community. They work so hard around the world to fight for real food every day. We really want to spotlight them this month. They communicate with businesses, schools, farmers markets, communities, and anyone who will listen about the Food Revolution mission. So a big thank you to all ambassadors around the world, including our panelists. We recently launched our ambassador program. We have over 300 ambassadors in 55 countries fighting every day for real food. And you're about to meet 5 of our amazing panelists. So let's start off. We have Denise Livotti in Vaughn, Canada. Hi, Denise.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Adam,
thanks for having us, Food Revolution.
Hi, Adam.
Hi.
And then we have Elsa Manelphe from Montevideo, Uruguay. Hi, Elsa.
Hello. Hola.
How are you doing?
Very good.
And then we have Francesco Iandola from Milan, Italy.
Hello, ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, everybody.
And then we have Joelle Gillooly from Cary, North Carolina.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome. I like the palm tree in the background, Joelle. So today's Hangout's going to put a spotlight on all our ambassadors, and we feel like they are the perfect example on how to start your own food revolution in your community. So we'd love for you guys to listen in on their tips and their suggestions, and hopefully it'll inspire you to make change in your own cities. And throughout the Hangout, we want it to be really a conversation with everyone. So if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please let us know. You can post on our Facebook page, or you can post on Google Plus right under our Hangout, or tweet us at FoodRev, and remember to use the hashtag FoodRevHangout. So we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce Elsa. She's been fighting for better food for 10 years now. She's even created this kind of food superhero comic book to help relate with kids better, to teach them about nutrition and health. She's a chef, a food activist. She has a weekly show, a radio show every Wednesday where she tells people in Uruguay, you know, how it talks about real food and talks about the importance of really getting back in the kitchen and cooking and swapping recipes. So Elsa, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about how you got involved in food. Was there a meal or a moment that kind of made you want to change the way you ate or really get more involved?
Hi. Well, I think that I began to fight when I went to study in France because I was born in the Indian Ocean, when we have a very good tradition of real food, of markets, of making your own spice blend at home. So it's a place where we do cook a lot. And when I went to France, I discovered like another way. It's a country of very good food, but also a lot of people have every time more junk food, and the students eating like a bullshit because they think that they need more money to have better food. So I began to give cooking classes to the students to teach them that with a few money you can have healthy and nice food. And then when I went to Argentina, it's a country where, for example, people don't have water with a meal. They have Coke, or they have Fanta. They have a lot of full of sugar drinks. And if you just watch people in the supermarket, what they are buying, most of the very big majority consume full of sugar and fat ingredients, like made by fabrics. Sorry for my English. No, I try to make it okay.
You're doing great.
And then in Argentina, as I used to teach cooking and cook for people, I began to invent a little superhero called Miss Pepper, and it was like a better version of myself, skinnier. and we made like a comic about this superhero which can save you, going to your home when you are just about to call the delivery. He was like the bad person with junk food. We called him the devil delivery. And so when people were just about to call him to ask for a fat, awful pizza, she just appeared like Batman, and she cooked a homemade, healthy, good pizza. So we began to create this little comic to make fun with the kids, and to begin like with a workshop with the kids to create their own superheroes about food. For example, one had the sugar superhero. It was like a surfer coming with sugar powder, homemade ice cream heroes. So it was like a tool to have fun and teaching by cooking.
Great. And how did you get the comics to the students? How did you work with schools, or how were you kind of spreading the comic?
Yes, with schools, and I began to write the comic in a paper version, like to be like a little book, and then we made drawings with a friend, and then we did like a small storyboard, and we put it in YouTube. But it was very handmade, you know. It's nice, but we didn't make a big production. Yeah. And then we made also very short videos for teenagers, like for older people, which is a very hard to conquest public. And the idea was to cook one recipe during one song. I think you remember the curry of Jamie Oliver when he's singing and doing the lamb curry, like with a reggae song. It was a bit this idea with a rock and roll song, like 2-3 minutes. In a live moment, cooking a healthy recipe, like on a rock and roll way.
Okay. Great. I just want to remind you guys, if you guys could mute just so we don't hear the background, if anyone's not on mute, that would be great. Thank you. That's amazing, Elsa. Thanks for sharing that. I got to see Elsa's superhero comic book, which maybe we'll send around after this, and it's amazing.
Yeah, all right.
It teaches you a lot. So we're going to kind of move to Denise right now. I know Denise had a moment where she had a food moment which made her want to kind of create a cooking school, and she is the founder and president of Petite Chefs Academy, and they teach kids as young as 2.5 to 17 years old about nutrition, all different kinds of cooking classes, as well as classes you can take with your families. So Denise, I'd love to hear more about what made you want to create the cooking school, and really how it's kind of progressed over the years.
Well, what inspired me, a bit of myself and my children. My children were the biggest inspiration. I just a couple years ago found myself in a really dark place, I guess, working in an environment that was very toxic, and it had a huge effect on my health, mental and physical, and therefore subsequently there's a long story behind that I knew that I had to get out and something had to change. At the same time we were going through those struggles, there was a couple of other personal struggles. One of them also was pertained to my eldest daughter, who was having some difficulties at school and learning, and was later diagnosed with a mild to moderate case of ADD. And so I started a journey of educating myself on that and how we could best help her. And sitting over a home-cooked bowl of stew, me and my husband, knowing that I needed to make a life change for myself, for my health, for my children's health, he sat and asked me, Denise, what are your passions? And clearly I looked at him as I was, enjoying this wonderful bowl of homemade stew in January 2011, so it's cold here in those months, and stew is such a heartwarming food to eat. He said, okay, don't answer me that. I already know food, cooking, clearly. And what other passions do you have? I said, well, our children. And so it just kind of, the light bulb went off. It was that moment of aha, like I had to seize the moment, and I realized that I had to fulfill something that I'm passionate about and I believe strongly about. And going through the change in the house of changing our diet and changing our food for the sake of my daughter to help her, I just thought, you know what, I don't feel that there's enough of this going on in the home because of our crazy, busy, hectic lifestyles. People have gone so far away from cooking and cooking at home, and including their children in the process, and getting them started at a very young age to understand where food comes from, how to cook with food, health and nutrition. And I put myself to it, and within a matter of 6 to 8 months, I put all my life savings into the academy, opened up the academy, and I started in August 2011. I opened the doors. And this is my chef, Chef Adam. He's been with me since day one. So him and I, we kind of are like, you know, culo camicia, dicono in Italian, right? He's the chef, and I work the front administration, the public relations, the marketing, and the sales. I do get involved in the kitchen. Like last night, I had to cover for Adam, and we stirred up home-cooked meals with the kids. We did a vegetable spring roll with sweet and sour sauce, homemade, and miso soup. So we were trying to teach the kids about different foods from different parts of the world, different ethnicities. And I believe food just connects us all. It doesn't matter where we are. It's just one of these things that brings all cultures, all people together. So
that's amazing, Denise. I completely agree. Is real food has connected all of us, and I think that's why it's a completely universal fight for wanting to care about what you're putting in your body and what you're feeding your children. And we hear this story every day. They decided, you know, I want to take a stand and I want to change the way I'm eating, and I want to be more, I just want to make a change, and I want to put on events and talk to people about this. And that's kind of what the Ambassador Program is all about, is really doing what you can in your own community. If it's just cooking more in your home, if it's going to your local farmer's market more often, or if it's just talking to your friends over a home-cooked meal. We just really want to get the idea of, let's cook more in the kitchen, let's eat real food, and let's really know what we're putting into our bodies. So I totally understand, Denise. That's an amazing story. And I just want to kind of remind anyone who's tuning in right now, we are on our second Community Google Plus Hangout, and we are hosting in the Google offices in San Francisco. We're super excited to be here. If you have any questions or comments or want to partake in the conversation, please Facebook us, tweet us using the hashtag FoodRevHangout, and you can also post comments on the Google Plus page that you're watching us on right now. So I think I want to move a little bit to Food Revolution Day. For anyone who's not super familiar with Food Revolution Day, it happened on May 19th, this past May, and it was really a global day to kind of stand up for real food. We had over 1,000 events in, I believe, 660 cities and in 60 plus countries. And it was a pretty amazing day. People put on local events. They taught families how to shop at the farmers markets. They planted gardens in their backyard. People put on local dinner parties with their family and friends. It was just really a day to share your knowledge, your resources, and start the conversation on real food. And I think Food Revolution Day is a perfect example to use. If anyone's at home and really wants to start making change in their community but aren't really sure where to start, a lot of our ambassadors started on Food Revolution Day. So I want to kind of talk to Francesco, who did a variety of events for Food Revolution Day, and I'd love to hear if you have any tips. First, let's hear what you did for Food Revolution Day, and then if you have any tips and how you put these local events together.
Okay, I was involved by you just 1 month before the Food Revolution Day. I was a little scared because 1 month was not enough, I was thinking. But then I discovered that using the word Jamie Oliver and the food in Italy is very good. Everybody know about Jamie Oliver, and everybody want to be involved in the Jamie Oliver project, and everybody want to speak about food. We have to remember that Milan will host the Expo in 2015 about the food. So also the institution in Milan are very interested about the Jamie Oliver and about the Food Evolution project. The first step for me was to find volunteers. it was impossible to move alone, and so I find in an easy way some volunteers, and I give to every volunteers a target. To a volunteer give the target the school, to another volunteer the restaurant, and so on. Then I have to find the influencer about the food, because it was the first time I was trying to organize something about the food in Italy using the web. But I discovered there is a very big community of food bloggers in Italy, very friendly, and they was very happy to help me about to organize this event. Then I have to find also a partner, and yes, I told you before about institutional partners, state institution. They asked me to be involved, but 1 month was not enough for them. So speaking with the state institution was only a problem, so I don't care about him. But a good partner was the university. In the university there are a lot of professors, nutritionists that spend their life studying about nutritionism, and they was very happy to have the possibility to speak about food and nutritionism. So at the end I organize in 4 different towns 16 events, farmer market, cooking school, event inside the school, inside the restaurant, in a gardening center, and one main event in a restaurant. In the main event, I asked to the food blogger to do a contest. I asked to give me the recipe about a perfect Jamie Oliver recipe. I collect all the receipts. I have about 20 different receipts from 20 different food bloggers. And we choose the best 5, and in the night in the restaurant we cook these 5 recipes by important chef. They was happy to collaborate with us, and we use only food by farmer market. So it was, I think, a very beautiful event. And during the event we had also a conference by a professor from university. And I think everybody was happy, and so happy that they asked me to do other events. And now I have a program of other 4 events. I did the first one 2 weeks ago in a farm inside Milan. There is an old farm inside Milan, and the next Monday, in 3 days, I will have the second event. In the first event, we will speak about nutrition for children, and in the next event, we will speak about biological food. In Italy, we speak a lot of biological food. Now I have 2 children, and I buy only biological food, but I am not sure that it is something better than normal food. I want to understand if I only spend more money, or is for sure a good choice. So I hope in this next event we will speak about this, and we will help people to understand this problem.
Great. Francesco, you bring a really good point up that when you are wanting to start to fight for real food and to start a food revolution in your city, it can be very overwhelming. And so it helps to find either friends, family, or people in your community that care for the same kind of focus on organic or whatever you're fighting for. And I think that's where you start, is really you can use, I would suggest even going online, searching through Twitter, searching through Facebook, and looking for community groups that are already happening in your city that have similar interests than you. And I know a lot of the ambassadors for Food Revolution Day, as well as doing local events now, really have searched for volunteers and for people to kind of lean on to really work with their community. So I want to introduce Joelle right now, who did a lot of events as well for Food Revolution Day. She did, I think, a composting demo. She taught how to make green smoothies, and she was even able to get Whole Foods as a sponsor. So I would love, Joelle, if you could kind of talk about some of the events that you put on, as well as any tips and explain the process of getting Whole Foods kind of on board, and maybe a way for other people to use the market and farmers markets to donate to their causes and their local events.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. Well, let's see. For Food Revolution Day, we were blessed enough to be able to partner with Whole Foods Market. I just approached them and I asked them, told them what we wanted to do for the food revolution, and they were very eager to help us as long as I was able to staff it with volunteers. So I was able to get 20 volunteers, and the way that I did that was anytime I mentioned Jamie Oliver's name or what we were doing, people would say to me, that's something I'd be interested in helping with. So as soon as somebody said that to me, I'd always touch base with them via email. I also would ask, do you want your children to volunteer? Because parents always want their kids to get good volunteering experience. So that's a good way to get people to volunteer. For Food Revolution Day, what we did out there, we had a 5-hour outdoor event. We were able to have 3 children's food education stations. We did do a composting demo. We had children's food grocery store tours at the store. 2 chefs came out and donated their time. They did some demos as well as talked about how to eat healthy on a budget with fresh ingredients. We had a children's fitness class, and that was awesome. We had about, I would say, 100 people come through there. We tried to get people to come who wouldn't typically shop at that store, as well as we were able to do some events at a local farmer's market. So that's what we were able to do on that day. And the amount of people that wanted to volunteer was awesome. And I just feel like if someone says that they're interested in volunteering, you just need to follow up and hold them accountable. And it's a great cause, and people are becoming more educated. Even just the small information that's in the news, and I think the volunteers want to learn too. So it's a good opportunity for them to learn and to participate.
Definitely. Do you have any suggestions for people to meet more people in their community? I know that you were able to find volunteers. You used college students who are looking to kind of buff up their resume. You were already out at farmers markets meeting people, and you got them to volunteer. Do you have any suggestions for viewers at home that are trying to kind of get a bigger group in their city to start working towards the fight for real food? Do you have any suggestions?
Definitely, and what you mentioned about college students that are nutrition or a health science major, sometimes high school students, looking for hours for credit for things as well, or what they're interested in. Farmers markets definitely, because the community here, we all like to support each other. So everybody's looking for a way, to help one another because we have the same interest at heart. So I think that I always search around for any type of organization like the Food Revolution that would need my support. So I usually reach out and offer my support, and then it's typically reciprocated because we just were approved here to be on the leadership team for Eat Smart, Move More North Carolina, and that's an organization that is able to change policies and make policies so that environments are more conducive for movement and to bring more fresh food to the environments here in North Carolina. So we'll be a voice on that team with them. So really reaching out to organizations that have the same mission. And I always think approach is really good, not to be an alarmist with anybody, but just just being truthful and honest. And it's an obvious cause.
Yeah, that's great. I think everyone who's kind of working towards real food or food policy or food education, they're all working on their own initiatives around the world, and our idea for Food Revolution is to really have a platform where we can connect everyone, support them, and give them resources, but really just to create a network of people that you can rely on and you can communicate with to be inspired, to get new ideas, and that's kind of our goal for these Google Plus Hangouts as well. So I just want to remind, again, get your questions, any suggestions, comments in the next few minutes, because we're going to be answering them at the end of this Hangout. So you can Facebook, you can tweet us, use the hashtag FoodRevHangout, and then you can also comment on our Google Plus page. Elsa, I want to talk to you a little bit. Well, first, I know that you cooked something special for this Hangout. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Just a word. I was making homemade dumplings. Because here we don't have a lot of Asian food, so I'm trying slowly to cook spicy and Thai. And So I was making them.
That's great. I know that you've organized a community group in Uruguay, and you're working with another Food Revolution ambassador as well as a local president for Slow Food. How did you meet these group of kind of real food activists, and how can others meet these people in their communities?
Well, I am lucky because we are a small country in Uruguay. So there are less than 4 million people. We are few people. So in the world of food, they kind of know each other when they are activists. So as I am always talking on the radio about real food. It's like every week I try to find people who are actually doing interesting things about that. I used to know people, and when I was called for the food revolution, just instantly I meant we have to make a team, because the everyday work of those people is really like the perfect program for a food revolution all over the year and not just for one day. So I called them, and everybody answered, yes, of course. And so we made a little team. We have nutritionist specialists. We have the president of Slow Food here, which is a producer of organic foods and also a teacher working with kids in schools, public and private, since many years. And they create, for example, games about knowing fruits and tasting. So very interesting workshop. Also a cook, which is a friend, and in her restaurant we are going to organize for the Food Revolution Day cooking classes to make your own ketchup, for example, your own mayonnaise, all those sauce we can make homemade and not buy in the supermarket. And then a cook also, which is Diego, the only man of the team, and he's like our local Latin Jamie Oliver, because he's teaching on TV to the kids, and he's got like your chef academy. It's called Petit Gourmet, and he's got kind of a little school like that, working with kids and also growing plants and working a lot like with gardens. So we are a little team.
Yeah, that's great. And I know that you have been able to reach out to local media in Uruguay, and you have your weekly radio show where you talk about real food, and I know that you recently got a local newspaper on board to where I think you're using them to kind of talk about your monthly challenges and what you're working on every month. Do you have any suggestions for how people should reach out to local media and use that as a platform to make their voice louder?
I think we really have to be shameless and try to be spontaneously like a part of for example, in the media, it was interesting for us because it's not it's like a clean way to be sponsored, because we just are going to be like to show what people do and in what they work. Every month we have a space in this newspaper, and we are going to tell like portraits about people who work and stand up for real food. And I think it's not so complicated, because with the food revolution, as Francesco was saying, everybody knows Jamie Oliver, and it's full of a very strong message. So when you propose to do something about the food revolution and to look for volunteers, I think that the message is going every time stronger and bigger. So I think you have to be shameless and just call a newspaper locally and say, you know, we could have a little space every month and talk about what we are doing and the challenges. And I think it's not so complicated. And also internet, as you said, in Italy, many blogs, Twitter, Facebook, to get known and have followers.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think using social media is a really easy, quick tool to use. It's free, you have a large audience, and you can use that kind of to harness your message and make it a lot more vocal. And I know, Francesco, you run the popular Twitter account Food Rev Milano, and you keep that very active. So I was wondering if you could tell me how you stay so active on social media, and if you have any tips for people that want to use social media to really get their word out. Are you
okay,
on?
yeah, I am.
Perfect.
Okay. The first thing, I have my blog, My blog is very old blog, and every year I change the mission of my blog. This year, the mission of my blog is about food revolution. And in my blog, I can put the contents I have from the events I do, from the meeting I have. Then for sure I use Twitter, I use Facebook, and now I'm using also LinkedIn. In Facebook, I think the best solution is the Facebook event, in which you can involve a lot of people. Then it's very important to have a good relation with the influencer about the food in your nation, in your states. And so you have to be friendly for sure, and you have to be able to give good content to other food bloggers you have close to you. If you have good content to give them, they have for sure happy to speak about food revolution in their blog. And when I do the events, it's very important, as you are doing now, Sarah, to organize a live by Twitter, writing step by step what is happening. Because people that is at home can read what is happening, and also because when the event is finished, you have a good resume of everything. You can do very easy a good document. And maybe the first important thing is to remember that the web, the social network are only an instrument. You have to put your face, you don't have to be shy. You have a very big brand and you have a wonderful mission. So don't be shy to ask to people. This is the secret.
Yeah, I agree, and I think social media is so great because we have a lot of different city food rev accounts, and you're able to kind of see what everyone else is doing around the world. You can see what kind of content they're talking about, what local events they are, and that can always be so inspiring. So right now we have a special guest. We're going to be introducing Amy Higgins. She is the community manager for Google Plus Local, and she's been going through all of our social media, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Google Plus, and she's gathered all our questions and suggestions from all our viewers right now. So Amy, if I could have you come in. Welcome.
Hi everyone. So finishing on the social media point, do you guys have any Google Plus circles that you've formed that are all about local food and tips and tricks that you guys want to share? Everybody's quiet.
Well, I've put together a food revolution community, Google circles, right? So, and that's just compiling everyone now, you know, since we started. So
Nice, fun. I was thinking it might be a great add-on to the Hangout if we all share those circles and then tag them with our hashtag FoodRevHangout. And then everybody can look at it on Google Plus as well. So some of the questions that we have, one of our viewers says, in a very busy lifestyle, how do you stay healthy? And how do you find time when you can't cook at home?
I can.
Joelle, do you want to start?
Yes, sure. I think that it needs to be a priority, and most people have things in their life that are priorities. So if you can move, eating healthy on up on your priority list, and you think of it that way, it's definitely a bonus. But planning and preparing is two of the best ways really to get that done, and it's like anything else. When you change a grocery store or your child changes schools, like it takes a while to get into a routine, so you just really want to just make it a priority, be determined. It's for the health of you or your family. It's something that's so important, and it is doable. Get support from your family. Make small changes. Don't try to just completely change overnight, but just make small changes and make it a priority, I think, and plan and prepare. Those are the few things that I always recommend with someone just, that's just for that.
Denise, did you have anything to add to that?
Well, actually, what I do, I actually, the planning and preparing is number one in my book, because I try to do a 12-week menu plan. Like right before the kids went back to school in September, I worked on a 12-week menu plan of what the meals would be every single day. And what I typically do is I go shop early in the week, like on a Sunday, for 3 days out. I don't shop and stock for weeks ahead, because then the food is not fresh, in my opinion. So I stock up every 3 days, and I actually prepare in my fridge the little bundles of all the ingredients for each meal per day, so that when I get in, and we get in late, I have my dinner already for, Thursday night, already sitting there on that shelf, and I just pull it out and it's a quick fix. Honestly, I can have dinner on the table in 40 minutes. And like Joelle said, it is like riding a bike. You have to, it starts off rough initially, but once you get into a routine and you do it often enough, it becomes very simple. It's like anything that you put importance on in life, it just becomes part of your daily life and your routine. And I think we as a society have moved away from things that are truly important, and I think health and diet and what we're eating and our food and getting our kids involved in that should be top priority.
And don't you think, Denise, that oh goodness, what was I going to say? It doesn't have to be a real extensive menu. It can be real simple ingredients and all of that, right? So because a lot of people think, planning.
It's very simple. Simple ingredients, simple meals. Yeah. And meals that are the most simplest are usually the most tastiest and the ones that we enjoy the most.
Right.
Than extravagant meals.
Right. Because I think people are intimidated because they think, planning means these elaborate recipes, but it's not the case.
That's right.
Denise, I like what you said about putting everything in its own little compartment. Do you have a way for those of us who are not so organized to make it fun and exciting when they try to eat healthy?
You know what? To eat healthy, I love to cook to music, whether it be the latest stuff on the radio or opera. I really love opera. I do try to have fun in the kitchen with the kids when I do things, or with anyone. I always add in a laugh or two. It's what brings us all together. Cooking doesn't have to be intimidating, or working in the kitchen and preparing stuff. It's where everyone comes together, so it should be. It is fun. For me, it's the best part of life is in the kitchen. And preparing and organizing your stuff. It's not daunting or time consuming at all. Like I said, once you get it going, it becomes very easy. All you have to do is buy some Tupperware, like little box bins, and put everything in with little tags on them, and you can make it fun, dress it up, right? Make little caricatures, just like Elsa does, with her comics, right? Make it fun for yourself. You have to be a kid at heart, you know what I mean? You have to enjoy that part of life, and let it go, and you have fun. You end up having lots of fun. Yourself, your kids, your family, everybody.
Nice. One of our viewers asked, when you're out to eat, how do you know what's healthy or not? Is there a way to source locally sourced foods, or is there a way to really know that the ingredients are healthy?
Francesco, do you want to answer that from Italy?
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Francesco.
Do you have any suggestions?
How to understand if the food is good or not good is sometimes is very easy. McDonald's is not good. If you cook a good pasta in your home, it's better. In Italy, maybe we are more lucky. We have a tradition of cooking every week, every night, every evening. In my family, it's natural to cook pasta or something good. The problem is during the day. I work in a little office, and during the lunchtime, I have to go on the street to find something good to eat, and without spend a lot of money. It is the problem for sure. For a long time, I don't think about this because I am thin, I am a runner, a marathon, so I have no problem to become fat. But for sure now I have children. For me, it's more important to understand what is good or not good. But it's not easy to understand. For sure, when I go to the supermarket to buy apple, can you see the apple? I try to buy the apple that come more close to Milan. Sometimes the apple arrive from France. Why? I have to buy apple from France if I live in Italy and apple are close to my home. The same is for orange. Orange in Italy arrive from Spain. Why I have to buy an orange from Spain? For sure, an orange that drive for 2,000 kilometers is not good as an orange that travel for 200 kilometers. So when I buy something in the supermarket, every time I read where the food comes from. I get this suggestion for you.
I like that suggestion. I know myself, I always try to find produce to buy it at the farmer's market. And then I know that it's coming from a local farm in the area because they don't want to travel that far to bring the food to the small farmer's market. Another question we had is, what's your favorite part about volunteering for Food Revolution?
Elsa in Uruguay, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, I will say it's to connect with people I didn't know, it's to work on a team. I think what Denise said at the beginning about the power of connecting inside food, I think it's the most powerful activity, human activity, which can connect people. And that's my favorite part about that, because we are very complementary. And I've seen it in my mother's job. She's a social worker, and she has worked with food all her life, with people getting out from jail, with children with problems, and always cooking has been the best way to connect people. So I think in the Food Revolution, the most exciting work about being a volunteer is to invent new ways to connect people, just about eating better and cooking more.
That's great, and I think relying on the community to come up with new ideas, to connect, to get creative about local events, that's kind of what we're all about and what we want to focus on. I think we're going to start wrapping this up now. We want to thank Google for having us, as well as all of our amazing participants and all the ambassadors who were unable to attend. If you're interested at home and you're not an ambassador and want to get more involved in the Food Revolution, you can apply to become an ambassador at foodrevolutionday.com/apply. And you can see who is already working in your community at foodrevolutionday.com/teams. And that way you'll see all of our ambassadors organized by their city and their country, as well as their Twitter account, so you can reach out to them through that. We want to remind you guys that October's filled with some great food events, especially Food Day on October 24th. You should check out their website. They have some amazing local events going on. I think it's not too late to even register your own local event, so you guys should check that out. And also One Young World's happening on the weekend of October 18th. That's a nonprofit with youth, and they're doing some amazing things with real food, and Jamie Oliver will be speaking in Pittsburgh for them, so you guys should keep an eye out for that. And we want you guys to keep an eye out for our next Google Plus Hangout, and we want to thank you all for tuning in.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
See you online.